I picked up my boyfriend from the beach. He pretended to be dumb and stammering, spending every day fishing with me in our village. Then his butler showed up. Young master hasn't smiled like this in ages. Should we take Shirley home to meet the madam? But Mike turned cold. Just a fishing girl from a remote island. Give her a few million when it's over, and that'll be enough. No need for my mother to meet her. I hid in the corner, thinking about the money I was going to pocket, and I could barely hold back my grin. That butler, dressed in a tailcoat with gold-rimmed glasses, came again to buy fish. Every time, before he came, Mike would pin me down on the bed for a while. Then, he would use the whip I give him every night to bind me tightly over my pajamas. I called him a rogue. Then he leaned close to my ear, his voice husky and stammering. You taught me this, remember? You gonna fish for him? Or do you think you can even get out of bed? Mike turned away, saying filthy words, but his face was red all the way to his neck. He playfully pinched my aching waist, and I melted instantly. Lying on the bed, I buried my face into the pillow, pretending to ignore him. Mike's chest shook with a chuckle as he left the room. Today, he tied me up more fancily than usual, even happily putting a cat ear headband on my head. My heart fluttered a bit. I peeked from under the covers, moving quietly to follow him out. The fish we caught was stored in the backyard tank. At that moment, Mike and the butler were talking with their backs to me. I eavesdropped behind the stone wall, straining to hear. You haven't smiled like this in ages. Will you take Shirley home to meet the madam? It was silent for a moment. I blinked, and then I heard Mike speak in a cold voice, no stuttering. Just a fishing girl from a remote island. Give her a few million when it's over, and that'll be enough. No need for my mother to meet her. The butler sighed lightly and then reported other matters. The midday sun at the seaside was bright, and those casually spoken millions from Mike made my heart feel warm and fuzzy. I lowered my head, trying hard to suppress the grin about to burst, and happily wriggled back to the room. I've been with Mike for over half a year now. I'm finally getting those millions. Mike has no idea. I'm not some fishing girl from a remote island. I'm actually an entertainment star banished to this island. 8 months ago, I passed an audition by the famous director Howard in the industry. I landed a small role in his new movie, The Beach, along with Eric, the billion-dollar box office king, his first return to film in years. Howard is known for being extremely demanding but highly successful. Though he makes few films, almost every one is a blockbuster and wins international awards. Howard never prioritizes using famous stars for his films, but anyone, whether amateur or obscure, gains some fame by acting in his movies. Those who perform exceptionally might even become the next big star. The most active screen starlet, Anne, became a hit 3 years ago, after gaining fans from an 8-minute dance scene in Howard's movie. However, Howard often changes scripts unpredictably, and sometimes he even cuts actors who've worked for months if he's not satisfied, which scares many away. Plus, not everyone can handle Howard's extremely harsh requirements this time. Originally, Anne was supposed to play my role in The Beach, but Howard required all actors to live on various islands like fishermen for 10 months, maintaining mystery, and not appearing on any social media or in public. Anne agreed at first, but backed out at the last minute for unknown reasons. Howard was furious and had to urgently recast nationwide. That was my lucky break. After signing a confidentiality agreement, my agent Mark tossed me onto this little island to fend for myself. I thought it'd be a 10-month real-life fishing adventure, but I didn't expect a jackpot when Mike washed up on the shore in my second month as a fishing girl. Finding Mike wasn't really an accident. Before entering the entertainment industry, I worked part-time at a cafe and witnessed his mom giving thick bundles of checks to a line of young, pretty girls. Every check came with, "Here's 5 million, leave Johnny alone. Here's another, stay away. Here's 5 million more, bother my son again, and you'll get nothing." I'd shake coffee all day till my arm was numb for only $300, yet they got 5 million just like that. I saw red. Plus, if just flirting with Johnny netted 5 million, Mike had to be worth more. That night, I scoured the internet for Mike's photos and videos, studying them for hours. The next day, I planned to hang around Mike's favorite spots for a chance encounter. But while wandering, I didn't find the prince. Instead, I got scouted and ended up in the entertainment circle, earning less in a month than shaking coffee. So, when Mike washed ashore, I spotted him immediately while carrying my basket on the beach. That face was unmistakable. It had to be Mike. Without hesitation, I rushed to him, scanning the area nervously. This golden opportunity couldn't be poached by anyone else. Before the next wave could hit our prince, I reached him, grabbed his arms, and pulled hard. Mike groaned. "What are you doing?" Perhaps he'd been in the water too long. He tried to push himself up, but struggled. I leaned close, batting my eyelashes playfully, I'm saving you. You almost got swept away by the waves. Mike squinted at me for a long while, then coughed suddenly, making my heart ache. I dropped my basket immediately, using all my coffee-shaking strength to hoist Mike over my shoulder. Kicking away something that looked like a diving mask on the ground, I trudged back home with him. He was coughing, said he'd feel better if I gave him a kiss at my place. But by the time I moved Mike back onto my bed, he had already passed out. Inside, I was nearly bursting with the thought of that $5 million windfall coming my way. I sat on the floor by the bed, trying to catch my breath. I glanced over, naturally focusing on Mike's face for quite some time. I couldn't help but swallow. Seriously, this guy's good looks make you wanna just, flip him over and cook him up a bunch of ways. Especially now, with his cheeks all red. Wait a minute, red cheeks. I lifted my hand to his forehead. Huh, that's weird. It's not even warm. So why's his face so red? Just when I was about to check his neck for a fever. I'm not sick. Mike woke up, his voice a bit raspy. I was kinda bummed. Casually, I asked, anywhere else feel off? I've got meds here. Just let me know. Mike bit his lip, lowered his gaze a bit. His slender hand moved to his waist. His pale fingers lifted his shirt, revealing perfectly toned abs without a scratch. With a trembling voice, he said, "Here, it hurts a bit." I felt like Mike was trying to seduce me, but I didn't have proof. I sat at the doorway, staring up at the sky, confused. Tissues plugged my nostrils. My hand relaxed and then clenched tight again. The warmth of applying medicine earlier still lingered on my hand. My mind was wandering. What do I do? He seems to be turning into a beachside fool. From those interviews I watched, Mike always seemed kinda aloof, but spoke fluently. But ever since I found him on the beach, he's been nothing but a stuttering mess. Even looks kinda dazed and less smart. Could he have hit his head somewhere? On our little island with its conservative vibes, Mike ended up staying at my place as my boyfriend that night. He said he lived on a neighboring island, dirt poor, and was gnawing on tree bark. Then, out of nowhere, he cramps up and falls into the sea, drifting over to us. Thankful I saved him. Listening to that crazy story, I couldn't help but twitch. Is this some rich guy's weird test? If I hadn't crammed on his photos and videos, knowing even tiny details of his face, I might have sorta believed him. With Mike hurt and all, I set up a blanket on the floor. Let him have the only bed at my place. Whether he's lost it or not, taking care of him can't hurt. Maybe his mom will reward my hard work with those millions. Shirley, you're a genius at making money. Nights in the fishing village get quiet quickly. Just waves crashing outside. As I was drifting to sleep, Mike on the bed whispered, his voice unexpectedly soft and inviting, "This bed's big. Wanna join?" The room went silent for a bit. I paused. Half joking, I said, "If I get up there, it won't be just about sleep." "That works too," Mike replied. Knew it. He was trying to seduce. As a shy, easily flustered island girl, I was about to wave him off, but my mouth spoke faster than my hand. Before I knew it, I climbed into bed, kissing Mike. Even though his words came out like a shy fool's, his breathing, absolutely enticing. But I never thought I'd be the one flipped around and cooked up again and again. I sense Mike might be a bit off. A prince from the city, yet he hides his identity. Goes fishing with me every day. Searches for shells on the beach. Even when I smell of fish and jokingly try to sell him, he just grins widely, never complaining. Island folk say, Shirley's got a great guy, not only sweet, but well-tempered too. A lovely couple. Even I nearly believed it, until the butler showed up to remind him to head back to New York. In front of me, the seemingly clueless and stuttering Mike turned back to his original self. I counted the days. The butler came days ago, but Mike didn't seem to have any intention of leaving. I was really eager to figure out how big the sum from him might be. If I get to meet his mom too, maybe I can add another 5 million. "Shirley, what are you calculating?" Mike, clothes hanging, walked in, pulling me onto his lap. His eye focused on my messy notebook full of numbers, his stubble softly brushing my neck. As long as I didn't tease him, his words weren't as sluggish anymore. Or maybe he's leaving soon and doesn't feel the need to pretend. Casually, I replied, figuring out how much longer we'll be together. Property prices back home are up. Maybe delay buying, crossing that off. Chanel's new bags are really good looking, adding them on. I didn't notice Mike's face freeze. His arms tightened a bit. How many days left? Just a couple more. I blurted out without thinking. Director Howard mentioned 10 months. Just over a month left. Been here so long. Might need new clothes and a phone, right? Suddenly dizzy, I looked into Mike's eyes as he turned me to face him, puzzled. What's up? You want to break up? His usually pristine eyes were unexpectedly somber, the corners slightly reddened. Only then did I realize what I'd said. Pouting, I playfully changed the topic. I just saw you chatting happily with Cindy next door. Didn't even hear me calling. Mike's frown slowly eased with my words. He lowered his head, planting gentle kisses on my forehead and cheeks. She was asking why her cows were so skinny. Shirley, don't scare me. We're not breaking up. I was cherished in Mike's rare embrace. Hearing his heartbeat, once frantic, now calm, I couldn't help but realize, having Mike, my free, second-rate romance teacher, made me see how playing around could feel like genuine love. The next day, I woke up to a loud roar. Cindy, my neighbor, was knocking excitedly on my door. Shirley, does your husband have a private jet or something? I rolled off the bed in a daze. Realizing something, I quickly grabbed a coat off the chair, wrapped it around myself, and ran out of the room. As soon as I stepped out the door, I saw a luxurious private jet parked on the beach not too far away. Surrounding it were bodyguards in black suits. Mike stood with his back to me, encircled by these guards and a glamorous woman. When she saw me come out, she took off her sunglasses and gave me this scrutinizing look. Then she pulled out that familiar stack of checks from her purse, scribbled something on it, then walked over and handed it to me. Mike, is this the girl? Since you said she's just some random fisherman girl from a remote island, just have a bit of fun, then pay her off, she said. Oh my God, the queen is here. This is a big win. My check, my precious, my husband, just hurry up and leave. Excitement bubbled inside me, making my breath quicken, and my body tremble slightly, tears welling up in my eyes. My fists clenched tight, going pale at the knuckles. To outsiders, I must have looked heartbroken, devastated. Mike turned around stiffly, sweat beading on his forehead. Shirley, cutting him off before he could say a word, I hurriedly spoke, worried it might delay getting the check. Trembling, I took the thin piece of paper, and when I saw the number on it, tears streamed down my face, my damp hair sticking messily by my cheek. I'd heard you before, talking to the butler, saying I'm just an ordinary fisherman girl, not worthy enough for your mom to see, I said with a bitter smile as I held up the check. Pay me off, Mike, we're done. I backed away slowly, then turned and dashed into the house, slamming the door shut. Such a sad, hopeless, heartbroken girl, I thought to myself. This was the best performance I'd ever given since entering the profession. Hopefully, he's got enough conscience to add an extra zero at the end of that payoff check. To my surprise, Mike followed me. He knocked on the door with shaky hands, his voice full of an unfamiliar choked-up urgency. Shirley, it wasn't just a game with you. There's trouble in New York. I need to go handle it, but I'll explain everything when I'm back. We won't break up, he pleaded. It's time to go. The butler's voice came through the door. Shirley, we're not splitting up. His voice faded away, leaving the island peaceful once more. I leaned against the door and slowly slid down to the floor, picking up the check Mike had slipped through. 80 million. I had thought his mom's 8 million check was generous, an increase from what they'd paid off his brother's girlfriends. But 8 times that. Mike's name really holds weight. My phone buzzed repeatedly in my jacket pocket. I ignored the tightness in my chest. Looking at the long string of numbers on the check, I smiled and started humming. I hit the power button to turn off my phone. Why listen to Mike's explanation? To hear that he really cared. But I was never serious. I thought I'd spend another month or so on the island. But the day after Mike left, my agent Mark sailed over to fetch me. It had been a while. He'd gone from a scrappy, scruffy-looking guy to a strapping man still covered in stubble. I nearly didn't recognize him. Director Howard wants to start shooting by the sea earlier than planned. Let's get you back so you can prepare, he told me. Word is, this shoot is all closed off. Even I don't know the location, or how long it's going to take. In the past, Howard has taken nearly 2 years to wrap a shoot, only releasing the actors when filming's done. Those lead actors then shot to fame, still getting the shakes when Howard's mentioned. But you're just a minor role, so it shouldn't take too long. Oh, and that little fan, who used to track your stats religiously seems to have jumped ship. Haven't seen any posts from her in months. Shirley, why'd you stop? Think you're officially a fisherwoman now? Mark complained as he carried my suitcase, turning back to call out to me when he noticed I hadn't followed. I paused. Cindy and her aunt stood by the fishing nets at the door, her lips pressed into a reluctant line as she stared at me. Shirley, are you leaving? She asked, and I nodded, handing her the gift I prepared, including the phone that had been off since yesterday. Cindy, take these, I said, expecting her to refuse, but her gaze drifted to Mark, tall and burly with a beard, just like her aunt's, faces filled with a hesitant curiosity. Shirley, who is he? She asked. I chuckled, voice clear. He's here to whisk me away, I said. Just then, Mark picked me right up, half smiling as he growled through gritted teeth using the nickname my fans gave me. Time to go. Mark hauled me onto the boat, and I barely noticed how their expressions shifted behind me when he called out. Not long after leaving one deserted island, I found myself on another even more secluded, patchy Signal Island shooting the movie. I didn't even have a chance to spend my 88 million. When I got the script, I learned my small role was playing the protagonist's mother, dying shortly after giving birth. The script was thin, just a couple of pages, with no scenes with Eric, the lead actor. Yet, those pages kept me on this shoot for 6 months straight. It was not until we finished the last crying scene I'd been doing for 3 days that we wrapped my part. After Howard finally called cut, I was officially done. That night, red-eyed and exhausted, I half stumbled my way back to the New York apartment the company set up for me, leaning on Mark the whole way. Getting out of the car, feet on solid ground, Mark and I shared a glance, and we both broke into a frustrated howl right there in front of the building. During those months, Mark had been with me, assisting in everything on that island, both agent and makeshift assistant, even taking the time to maintain his scruffy beard. Eventually, under the high-pressure environment of Howard's frequent spur-of-the-moment decisions to shoot off-script and the countless retakes, his beard got so scruffy, it looked like that of a homeless man. Mark, feeling fed up, just shaved it all off. And now, tears were streaming down from his eyes, dripping onto his smooth, square chin. Finally back. I've heard Howard is strict, but this is crazy. They say Eric had to reshoot a fishing scene over 100 times. I was skeptical at first, but after my small supporting crying scene took 86 takes, 86, I was exhausted, slumped over my suitcase, too lazy to move a finger, as Mark practically dragged me into the apartment building. My eyelids, swollen from days of crying, hung heavy with fatigue. Before the elevator door closed, out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw a familiar figure. But before I could get a good look, Mark's massive, well-built chest blocked my view. He looked down at me wistfully, muttering, "I wonder what the final cut will look like." Everyone says Howard has no hesitation to cut if he's dissatisfied. You've worked so hard. Surely there's a 5-minute scene for you. Whether Howard will give me those precious minutes, I don't know. All I know is, the day after I got back, disaster struck. Ever since Howard picked me, my account hasn't seen the light of day. During this long period of social media invisibility, my already modest following of 15 dwindled to just 7. Nothing could cheer me up except my bank account's cold, hard balance of 88 million, and my one and only loyal fan still posting about me online. I clicked into her profile, eyes growing a bit misty. Out of her 3,658 tweets, almost every one is about me. But these past few months, she didn't seem too happy. I thought for a moment and left a comment under her recent weepy emoji post. "Don't be sad, hugs." Just after I sent it, Mark, who lived next door, barged into my apartment loaded with bags. Putting the groceries into the fridge, he chuckled. "Have you seen the trending news? It's hilarious." Curious, I took a washed apple from the bag and bit into it, asking, "What's up?" "You know Mike, right? Got dumped by his ex while you were busy reading scripts. He kept getting plastered late at night and crying over fish at some market. The paparazzi caught it, and he hit the trending list several times." I paused mid-bite, my expression momentarily frozen. Mike, the famously stoic guy, crying over getting dumped seemed ridiculous enough. But guess what? He was filmed again, just last night. It was even worse this time, and it happened near our apartment. If I had known, I would have gone down for a walk. Mark grinned widely, showing me the video on his phone. Too bad those paps were too far away. I'm dying to know what he was mumbling about. I skimmed the video, spotting Mike, looking forlorn on our apartment steps. His tears glistened in the camera light, contrasting against the night. My heart skipped a beat. Others might not decipher what he was saying, but we had spent nearly half a year glued to each other's side. I knew him well. He was pleading, "Shirley, please don't leave me." Who would have guessed? Mike's tearful drunken video trended online for a full week. The internet sleuths went from merely observing to analyzing his lip movements, then joking, "It's been a week, and I can act out this video by heart. Hasn't she seen it yet?" You'd think M Group's super PR team could instantly take it down, but they let it trend, showing everyone just how much Mike cares. Initially, I thought he was just unlucky in love, but after analyzing the video, it's clear, Mike is one of New York's last true romantics. There's buzz it's about Anne. The prince's apartment caught in the footage was Anne's. And lately, Anne hasn't looked great in her social media pics. They were even spotted at the same hotel today. As soon as those photos surfaced, M Group's PR quickly stamped it as fake. In bold red text, while all this buzz was going on, I was feeling stiff all over, sorting through the shopping spree haul since returning to NYC. Last night, Mark's cat snuck under my bed. It took ages, but I finally coaxed it out. Waking up today, I felt every muscle ache. When I heard a knock, I assumed it was Mark forgetting the passcode again. I opened the door while organizing the messy pile of bags. "You're the one who set the code. How do you always forget? Come help me out." I crouched too long yesterday. My back's a bit twisted. Rubbing my sore back, I nudged Mark along. Then suddenly, warm hands touched mine. A man's cool vibe closed in on me, freezing my breath. I whipped around, almost screamed at who I saw. "It's you. Long time no see." Awkwardly, I stammered a hello, averting my eyes while subtly nudging the things on the floor away. Mike stood tall, his deep eyes scanning me with pressure, finally resting where his hands held my waist. "When I returned, you were gone, and Cindy's aunts, they said you and your husband ran off." His Adam's apple bobbed, restraining emotions, his tone bitterly self-mocking. I didn't want to believe it, but what? I was enveloped in his arms, the closeness nearly suffocating. I couldn't grasp his words. Mike's eyes shifted away, avoiding the topic, but finally confronted me, whispering hoarsely in my ear, "Shirley, I'm better looking and richer. I can be your lover." Since I had already taken the 80 million from the Crown Prince's mom before, the last thing I wanted was to take the money and not get the job done. I remembered what Mike's mom once warned those girls while I was working at the coffee shop. If she got mad, not only would she make me return the 88 million, but she might even send me away to an island to fish for the rest of my life. It gave me the chills just thinking about it. So, after shooing Mike out the door, I packed my bags overnight and left a message for Mark before turning off my phone. I snuck back home under the cover of night to lay low for a bit. It gave me a chance to see if there were any houses I could buy. When I finally turned my phone back on after having a blast, I was shocked to see hundreds of missed calls that practically launched me out of bed. When I frantically called Mark back, his yelling echoed through the phone. "Shirley, you finally answered. Another couple of days, and I'd have come to get you myself from your hometown." His excitement filled my whole room. "I've got great news for you," he exclaimed. Through a bunch of laughs and tears, he explained that during the time I was offline, the movie By the Sea hit theaters for limited pre-screenings. On the very first day, without any promotion, it made over $1 billion at the box office. In just 3 days, it surpassed $5 billion, much more than other films released at the same time. When Howard was filming, he made all these genius changes to the script, and somehow, I ended up as the second most highlighted character, after the lead actor in the movie. "What did you say?" I was kind of dazed. I said, "You have more than 5 minutes of screen time. The movie's 109 minutes long, and you're in nearly a third of it." "No, the thing before that," I asked. Mark, relaxed on the couch, looked all cheerful in the video. "You probably haven't heard yet. In just those 3 days of pre-screening, you hit 10 trending topics, and gained more than 3 million followers. Check out the trending list, there are still several of your tags." Mark wasn't joking. I've never seen my name pop up so much before. By the Sea, Shirley, and when I saw that last one, my head throbbed, and I cautiously asked Mark, "I haven't just reached fame only to have it ripped away, have I?" He held back his laughter and nodded seriously, as I stared at him in despair. "Someone leaked this morning that your role was originally Anne's. We know she turned down Howard's offer, but the internet doesn't. There's quite a buzz about you two now. The company's already on damage control." But, he sighed, "the other side's stirring the pot on purpose. Anne's been popular for years with way more fans than you. So, you're the one getting targeted." How could Shirley, who's only been in a few low-budget dramas, be the lead in By the Sea? Even though Howard loves working with newcomers, who else ever got as much screen time as you in any of his past films? Anne's first Howard role lasted for just under 10 minutes, after 2 months of filming. Her studio even said last year they were gonna work with him again. So how did you snag this gig? As I was racking my brain on how to handle this, I suddenly got a message from Howard. He said I was invited to the premiere of By the Sea next week, as a main cast member. Until the premiere, Anne's fans kept hounding and criticizing me, and it was only getting worse. So, when it came time for the Q&A session, during the premiere, and the reporters turned their questions to me after Eric was done answering, my calm demeanor vanished in an instant. "Shirley, I'd like to ask about the claims online that the role you played was meant for Anne. Do you have anything to say?" Before I could open my mouth, Howard, who had been quietly smiling, spoke into the microphone. His face grew serious, and his tone was stern and dissatisfied. "This is the premiere of By the Sea, and first, I believe media questions should relate to the movie itself. Moreover, regarding the person who backed out last minute without any sense of teamwork, I made it very clear to her and her team that we wouldn't work together in the future. Lastly, I can assure you all that in my original script, the role of the mother was less than 2 pages, and had under 5 minutes of screen time. It was Shirley's performance that gave new depth to the character, which is why I expanded the script to include more family scenes. This role unquestionably belongs to her. I see no need for our lead actress to respond to questions about a role that's always been hers. I turned my head, my eyes misty, toward Howard. This strict director, who never praised anyone outright, or spoke more than a couple of lines when directing me, had just publicly defended me. It was heartwarming. "Shirley, don't cry." A roar from the audience pulled me back from tears with a start. Everyone suddenly burst into laughter, and the atmosphere picked up again. The host seized the moment and moved things along. Next was the much-anticipated audience interaction segment. When the host read out the chosen participant's ID, I perked up with recognition. Before I went on stage just now, she sent me a direct message saying she'd be in the interaction. I smiled and nodded to Mark sitting in the corner with the gift I had prepared, while scanning for my first dedicated fan in the audience. In the middle of the room, a tall man wearing a baseball cap stood up and took the mic from the staff. A hint of hesitation rolled through my mind as he removed his hat, revealing a dignified and stern face. "Hello, everyone. By the Sea is an exceptional work, and as a devoted fan of Miss Shirley, my company's legal team will fully support the cast and Miss Shirley against the online misinformation." The whole place went silent for a few seconds, then gasps exploded throughout the theater. I stood there, stunned, couldn't wrap my head around it. It was Mike. Almost as soon as the premiere ended, Howard posted the video online to explain things for me. Even hotter than that was Mike's appearance at the premiere. Some fans even dug up his account. Each post was from the same location as Mike's IP. I looked at Mike standing right in front of me. I couldn't help but feel a little headache coming on. Just at the premiere, I didn't get to give out my gift, and instead, Mike forced one on me. I was about to give it back to him, but Mike looked down and said, "The Imperial Green Necklace, 190 million. My hand stopped short. Let's go back to what he said. What does it mean if he gives me a gift? It seems wrong to refuse a nice gesture. Mark ran over beside me. He noticed Mike standing there, his eyes, usually not that big, now wide with surprise and glee. "What are you doing here?" Even more overwhelming than when I picked Mike up at the beach. But I wasn't expecting it. Mike's gaze passed over him as if he saw something disgusting. Speaking confidently, full of challenge, "Here to be a lover." I suddenly remembered he might have said that last time too. "Lover?" I frowned. Mike's eyes held a hint of darkness. Silent for a while, he pointed at Mark, reluctance in his voice. "I know he's your boyfriend." Most ridiculous thing I've heard. Even gossip sites couldn't spread rumors like Mike. I finally chased him away, yelling that Mark is my manager. Mike stared at Mark's face, disbelief in his eyes, for a long time. Then suddenly, he seemed to figure something out. His lips curled up high. When I finally shoved him out, his face was full of a silly grin. "Shirley, can we make up?" I didn't expect Mike's mom to find me so soon. I hadn't even had time to warm up to the emerald necklace. But it's okay. Ever since filming Beach, I've gained a lot more connections. Even if she wants the 88 million back, I'd still cry. This time, Mike's mom dressed more elegantly than before. I put down my teacup, ready to speak, but then she skillfully pulled a stack of checks from her bag, scribbled a bit, and pushed it to me. I looked at the check with 100 million on it, stunned for a moment, and quickly snapped to attention. "I'm taking this money and running. This money is for you, to stay by Mike's side." She cut me off. "Before, I didn't figure it out, and treated you like those women around Mike's brother. He's really into you." She silently put on some sunglasses. Pausing, as if embarrassed, she murmured, "Take care of him. Don't let him run out at night clutching fish and crying. My friends tease me with that video every day. As long as you can keep him from going nuts again, there's more money in it for you." Mike's mom's last words, before she left, were said so quietly. I was left sitting, my head in a whirl. After thinking for 30 seconds, I unlocked my phone and found that old account I'd muted long ago. 100 million, and it's only gonna go up. Hesitating one more second would be disrespecting money. I scrolled through one-sided chat logs for ages before reaching the end. "Shirley, my dad got sick so I left in a hurry. Wait for my return. Shirley, please don't ignore my calls. I worry about you. Shirley, I'm not just playing around. I didn't want you meeting my mom, because you said you hated rich people, and I'm afraid you'd leave me once you found out I'm loaded. Shirley, don't give up on me. It doesn't matter if you have someone else. I can be your lover. One line struck me, and I dialed the memoized number. When did I say I hated rich people? There was silence on the other end. The next moment, I was pulled into a firm embrace. A deep, slightly raspy voice whispered in my ear. I'll tell you once we make up. Mike's epilogue. I fell for this girl I game with a lot. The butler dug up everything about her for me. Her name's Shirley. She works part-time at a coffee shop in New York. I decided to go see her, but the day before I was going to head out, she sent me a few messages when she was supposed to be working. I hate rich people. I kicked my legs twice and kept shaking the coffee. Damn capitalism. I got worried. I cautiously asked, do you really hate rich people? She instantly replied, totally hate them. Reading that shocked me. My family's so rich, we could never spend all that money in 10 lifetimes. But as I hesitated about coming clean, I lost contact with her. Later, after searching for a while, I found out she had entered the entertainment business and started acting. It was my first time being a fan. I fumbled my way through my first tweets. Eventually, I'd handle data mid-meeting with ease, but my follower count never broke double digits. It seemed like she was missing a big break. As luck would have it, Howard's new film had a role that was suddenly open for recasting. Howard never accepted nepotism. The best I could do was arrange an audition for her. When I found out she passed the audition, I didn't even have time to get excited. My uncle, who's unbelievably picky about his work, suddenly sent the actors to an island. I was worried sick. I went to the island nearby, where she was, to secretly watch over her while diving. I must have been too caught up watching because I got washed up on the beach. Unexpectedly, she found me and thought I was a drowning victim and took me home. Life on the island was so blissful that it felt like I was almost drowning in happiness until the butler showed up. To avoid getting caught, I offhandedly said I was just fooling around and quickly sent him away. Shirley hated rich people. After all, this happiness was built on a lie, pretending to be a poor neighbor from the island. How could I possibly introduce her to my mom? My mom had her typical way of dealing with my brother's girlfriends, using money and checks. Letting Shirley witness that would only make her like us less. But I didn't expect my dad to fall seriously ill. My mom immediately flew her private jet to the island to take me back home. The truth was laid bare before Shirley. I didn't even have time to stop my mom from handing out checks. I thought I could clarify everything after returning from New York. But then Cindy's aunt told me Shirley ran off with her husband. I heard with my own ears that man calling her honey. How could it be anything else? I refused to believe it, so I chased down the shooting location for Seaside. Sure enough, there was a man by her side who I didn't know. The crew said he was her manager, but I've seen her manager, a thin guy, almost stick-like, with a face full of scraggly beard. This new sidekick wasn't him. She seemed to depend on him so much. The 6 months of filming Seaside were endless for me. When I found out she was back in New York, I rushed to her apartment. I saw her getting out of the car with that guy, wrapped in a sweet embrace. He didn't leave the building the whole night. I drank and cried under her window, knowing paparazzi might catch me. But I wanted her to see, maybe even care a little. But no, she was happily shopping around. Then I overheard her with satisfaction, saying, "It's great to have money." A flicker of hope surfaced within me. If Shirley loves money, maybe I could stay in her life, even as a lover. Thankfully, it turns out that square-jawed strongman was indeed the scrawny, bearded agent. Good thing Shirley doesn't really hate rich people. She just hates not being rich herself. Lucky me, I taught Mike's mom exactly what to say, and Shirley memorized it all. When she came back into my arms, I finally let out a sigh of relief. As long as she likes money, it's all good. After all, I'll always be rich.